Hello, Trevor. Welcome to our innovation conversation.
Hello, Craig. Thanks for having me in for a catch-up.
Some background, please, Trevor. How long have you been with BlastOne and what's your role?
I'm the product development engineer at BlastOne, recruited about 2 years ago as a business secured innovation concepts that would focus upon improving contractor industry, both in terms of safety and productivity.
That's great news, Trevor. It certainly is an industry with enormous need for exactly those segments. Can you fill us in on some of the recent developments?
Today I'll be talking to you about one of the safety products we've recently developed. Abrasive blasting fundamentally has the potential to cause serious bodily harm if the basic safety guidelines are not adhered to.
It's an industry flagged with both noise, air pressure, and ultimately fast control over the equipment response. These are the elementary safety factors.
You're right, Craig. And typically the remote control device has the unfortunate term of dead man handle, which is used to control this function. This is the only safety device used. As discussed in the Code of Practice, the use of a remote control is an absolute must for operators.
So there's an existing array of dead man handles already in the contractor market. Why seek change?
Based on our experience and a field investigation we conducted in 2 main states, we found that up to 80% of dead man handles are not correctly used, thus making the system unsafe. The main issues identified were that the operators are bypassing the dead man handle to keep it activated. This is done in several ways, ranging from tying the trigger down with a strap, cable tie or clamp, or removing the handle from the hose and shoving it into a pipe, or using any other means to keep the trigger depressed.
Trevor, in any other industry such as manufacturing or even mining, the use of dead man controls for operator safety is mandatory. Why would the contractor or shop industry be any different?
Good question. We assume it's due to the mobility of the operator. His need to constantly change his grip of the blast nozzle, moving into tight areas, or simply seeking to increase production.
So are you suggesting that the blast operator is taking it upon himself to work more comfortably or even faster?
Look, on further investigation, we discovered why these actions were being taken, and it was determined that the shape and ergonomics of the current dead man handles available are simply not comfortable.
So it's a personal issue?
Probably. However, it's also likely an ingrained matter, something possibly learned during the operator's training. The current device is not comfortable. It's not conducive to being used for extended periods of time.
By virtue of the overall grip diameter and the angle of the trigger?
Yes, but also relative to the thrust being generated when the trigger is depressed. These factors make the current dead man handles tiresome, add to operator fatigue, and therefore encourage misuse.
So there isn't a safe work requirement?
Yes, there is, and also a code of practice requirement for the device's operation, even placement on the blast hose.
So with your research, what were the deciding factors?
BlastOne decided to come up with a design that addresses these issues to minimize the possibility of misuse, creating a much safer system. At the same time, we were inspired to add some additional features. These additional features were driven by specific requirements from our respected customers. I'd like to introduce the D-Grip Safety Interlock. The new design has the following features and benefits. Reduced glove grip diameter to minimize hand fatigue. Trigger end stop to aid with thrust absorption generated by the nozzle, as well as preventing the operator's hand from slipping off the front of the trigger. This also reduces the possibility of having a permanent structure on the blast hose, which can be slid over the trigger to keep it depressed. The trigger shape has been designed to use the thrust generated by the nozzle to aid in keeping the trigger depressed. The increased length of the trigger reduces the force required to depress it, whilst also increasing the activation angle to reduce the sensitivity of the trigger to minimize unintended deactivations.
Is the D-Grip nozzle holder compatible with existing blast nozzles on the market?
Yes, and it also accommodates one of the mounting positions. The design has a sleeve which facilitates the rotating of the handle about the hose, preventing the operator from having to fight the hose in confined or awkward blasting positions. There is an adjustable set screw to limit the degrees of freedom to a level which is preferred by the operator. The sleeve also has a groove on the one end to accommodate a blast hose sheath. The operator typically holds a blast hose under his arm, which is an area not protected by the blast cape on the blast helmet, or it runs between his legs, or he uses other parts of his body to restrain the hose and make it easier to hold. In the event of a hose failure, this has potential to cause immediate injury. The hose sheath will protect the operator against such injuries.
And what else appeared as an opportunity for productivity improvement?
After every surface cleaning operation, there is a residual dust that must be removed. Usually this is done with compressed air, using a separate air hose, adding time to already arduous task, and especially hazardous for the operator's eyesight with such fine dust being released into the work environment. We redefined the remote control to have an abrasive control switch, which allows the operator to switch the abrasive on or off from the handle. This feature gives the operator the ability to blow a surface clean with just air after removing the coating. The feature is enabled with a simple additional pneumatic control valve that is fitted to the blast machine's air controls and is ideally suited for pressure hold pots.
Therefore, it's relatively easy to upgrade the existing machine control. What's the feedback from contractors been like?
One of our global contractors estimates that every activation in a pressure release blast system creates an abrasive loss of 250 grams. In this case, this leads to some 12 tons per day of abrasive being wasted as unusable productive media.
Wow. Trevor, can you please walk us through the principal operation of the D-Grip?
Absolutely, Craig. Two purposeful activations are required as discussed in the Code of Practice, and these are highly prominent on the D-Grip, which is a safety feature that ensures that the operator has both hands on the hose for maximum control on startup. The valve body has a depressurization port, which renders the unit non-operational should the valve block be removed from the handle. The new design is modular, which enables us to make modifications or add features to separate parts of the design without having to replace the whole assembly. Currently, we have the pneumatic option available, and due to its modular design, only the valve block will need to be changed to make it an electric option. The D-Grip comes in 4 different mounting options: nozzle mount, hose mount for a BHS 32 blast hose mount for a BHS 40 blast hose, and a slimline mount. This option does not have a sleeve, which reduces the overall size of the unit.
So the D-Grip design has been refined through in-field testing with contractors, engineers and BlastOne staff?
Yes, and we are currently at the stage of the project where we believe we have a design which is fit for purpose and addresses the issues we identified in the industry.
Terrific illustration of refinements here, Trevor. Thank you for your insights. Where do we go to now?
Simply call your BlastOne representative. He'll explain the procedure to convert your existing system to this upgraded comfort device.
Excellent, Trevor. Thank you for joining our discussion today. Sounds to me like the next step is simple. Just call BlastOne, order your own D-Grip safety interlock. Thank you for your time. Have a great day.
Thanks, Craig. You too.